Hi there, this is Anthony Gordon, Artist Relations Manager for Avid, coming at you from NAMM 2013. And we are here with a very special guest, Mr. John Feldmann. How are you, John?
Hi, Anthony. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
You good?
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
For those of you who don't know, John here is one of the top record producers out there making rock records. He got his teeth here in Orange County. We're here at NAMM, which is out in Orange County, with the band Goldfinger. In the 90s, and you guys are still going strong. You just came off a pretty big tour this year.
We just got back from Australia, I guess 3 weeks ago, and it was sold out tour. It's crazy. I mean, I'm very grateful that people still come see a show. I mean, we put on a pretty high energy show, and it's definitely entertaining. So I think we're going to Denver in 2 days, and then we're doing Warped Tour this summer. So we're still going.
So how many records are you doing a year?
I think 2012 I did 64.
60?
No, I didn't do 64. I probably did 8 last year.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And things have changed, and things are changing so fast in what we have to do and what people expect.
Yeah.
Because I'm co-writing albums, mixing, producing, editing. You know, I've got 2 engineers that work with me that help, so it's not like I'm 100%, but it's still so different than it was even 5 years ago, the way I make albums these days.
So how has, working in Pro Tools and using Avid stuff enabled you to keep up with that kind of workload?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of pros and cons. I mean, for me, it's about the song. I started as a songwriter. I started writing songs when I was 12 years old, and so I've always been a writer first. And these days, bands come to me and say, hey, I've got a verse. Do you have a chorus or a hook or something that you can help kind of finish the song? And so I'm spending a lot of time on the piano, on the guitar. Most of my time is spent writing, and a lot of times now we'll demo the song, or at least what the band thinks are demoing the song. They'll play through 11, and instead of spending the 2 weeks that we used to be able to do, sometimes to get guitar sound, sometimes the demo guitar ends up being the final guitar. And sometimes bands get it and they go, the song is amazing, and that's what really matters is the lyric and the melody. And other times it's kind of like, it could be a little frustrating for a guitar player that wants to spend, when they're watching all the videos of their favorite bands like Pantera in the 90s, spending a month getting guitar tone. It's harder to do that when the pressure is, where's the single? What's the sound of the record, and you're trying to define that. Getting a guitar sound can kind of get pushed back, and it's frustrating sometimes.
What major changes have you seen in music technology maybe in the last 5 years that have kind of changed your life? And where do you see music technology going, and where do you hope it's going?
I mean, for me personally, HDX has been huge because I had an expansion chassis, which I had a tremendous amount of issues having, because I like to load. I like to kind of mix as I work, so it's not like I've got no plugins, I'm just recording raw. I'm sort of shaping the sound of my vocal and my guitar as I'm recording the songs. And so for me, having HDX is super helpful. I don't have as many, I was crashing 15 times a day in a 12-hour workday with my expansion chassis. The workflow was never right for the way I pushed my system. I mean, I have 6, 7 cards filled up, every DSP slot filled, and now I'm using half of my computer processor and half of the cards. And a lot of new plugins, like Softtube has been hugely helpful with the FET compressor I use on every vocal. I mean, I'm discovering new stuff, as it comes out, that makes my sound better.
Yeah. And you're not kidding, when you say you mix as you go, you're definitely putting flesh on the bone throughout the whole process. You're running tons and tons of plugins, so I'm glad to hear that HDX has actually made that a smoother workflow for you.
Yeah, super helpful. And I was just thinking yesterday about, I started using Pro Tools, I guess, maybe 98 or 99. I started producing records right around then. I signed my first band, Show Off, in 99. That was the first album I produced. And I was thinking about how I learned how to make albums with a computer and be able to shape the sound, with waveforms and editing. And how I couldn't have done it without the computer. And then I think about how the internet has changed the way people listen and own content. And it's a catch-22 because I wouldn't be able to work as fast and as well as I do without it. But on the other hand, it's like a HMV closing down in England last week. It was, it's kind of like, you got to take what you take. And I'm grateful that I do this. But in other ways, I still love the idea, and I'm so glad there's this vinyl resurgence right now because it's allowing me to go back and, like, I just found my first Rodney on the Rock compilation that had all those bands like the Adolescents and Social Distortion that I loved as a kid. But yeah, it's for me. I don't. I've made 2 albums on 2-inch tape. I've made 48 track digital. I've made albums a lot of ways. Most of my albums I make in Pro Tools. There's no way I could see the way people expect music to be made for me any other way. For me.
Yeah. So one of the things that we're doing here at NAMM is we're announcing a contest that we're doing in partnership with Abbey Road. Man, I was there a couple weeks ago. Unbelievable. It was like going to the Vatican, or it's pretty cool. Anywho, so we're doing this contest, and you can enter tracks in to win and get your tracks judged by a panel of judges. Will be Tricky Stewart, who's one of the great producers, songwriter, A&R man of our time, Greg Wells, and you, John Feldmann. So, John, you have helped define the sound of a lot of modern rock records. When bands are out there entering to win, and you can win a chance to get your track mixed and mastered at Abbey Road, win an HD native system, so this is good stuff. What will you be looking for when people send in tracks to be judged?
I mean, whenever I listen to any music, I want to feel something. I mean, when I was a kid, no matter what I was going through, struggling with, school or parents or authority or everything, all this stuff that when I discovered music, it's saving my life. I needed to feel something, whether it was anger, sadness, relating to the artist, So for me, it's going to be probably the first thing I hear is going to be the tone of the vocals. Like, does the singer sound like no one else?
Right.
What does the singer sound like? And then if if that draws me in, it's the lyric second, melody third. And that's usually how I listen to music. Is it something I can relate to? Is the melody something that I can't get out of my head? So for me, I'm a singer. It's always about the singer.
Sure.
I just know when I listen to bands, I listen so different than other people would listen to artists, because I know how I can help shape their sonics. I know I can make the drums better. I can make the guitars better. But if the singer doesn't have that, that's one thing you can't really fake.
Right.
No matter how, whatever plugin you have, the throat to open it up and fake all that, it still doesn't sound real unless it's real for me.
You can fix pitch, but you can't make the magic happen. That's
attitude and that earnestness that comes along. I mean, clearly there's a reason Adele is so successful. There's a reason that Gautier song connected with so many people, because of the lyric.
Well, cool. It's been very interesting talking to you. I always love catching up with you, John.
You too, Anthony. How long are you here?
I'm here the long haul. I'm here all weekend.
Well, come by the house if you can. Check out the studio.
Ooh, that sounds good. Well, killer. Well, thanks for dropping by.
All right, brother.
Keep checking in. Yeah, round of applause. We have an audience here.
Thank you very much.
Keep checking in. We got to have more artist interviews, more interviews with developing partners, a lot more fun stuff coming at you from NAMM 2013.